right. Welcome, everyone, to Almost Oregon. It's been a little while. It's been a hot minute. But I'm really excited to be able to play this game and do some alternative history, Wild West shenanigans. To get started, we're going to go around, introduce everybody, say hello before we get started, because it's been a little while. Stanley, how are you doing? How have you been for these past month?
Month. I know, right? I've been keeping really busy actually. So I haven't felt bad. I mean, I've missed playing with you guys because I've been really looking forward to this. But I've made use of the extra time because hi, I'm Estanie, by the way. If you don't know who I am also a streamer. I do variety streams on my own channel, Tuesday through Friday. I'm doing Witchtober this year, and I'm so far behind. I think I just finished day 21 yesterday. So I need to catch up on that. Um,
I'm loving your Witchtobers, by the way.
it's been real fun, but it's so time consuming. I have a commission that I got at the beginning of the month, still working on that. This is because of everything else going on. So, and then I haven't even started my Patreon rewards, which are coming out next week, in theory. So, busy month for me,
Well,
but
thanks for taking the time to be here tonight.
really excited to be here and play with all of these awesome people playing their awesome characters.
Awesome. Going around. Uh, oh no. We've got Lavender.
Hi, uh, I'm Dark Lavender Void. I go by Lavender. My pronouns are they, them, and I am working through my computer freezing a bunch. I don't know how my camera and my audio is still working because my cursor's not moving.
Your camera is totally frozen, but it's at a
Okay,
very
fair.
great still frame, so
Okay, fair. Uh, yeah, I'm making a game called Mortally Bankrupt. And my birthday is in 3 days. So if you wanted to get me a birthday present, you could buy my game at darklavendervoid.itch.io. And you would be basically giving me like an $18 birthday present, and you would get a game in return. That game's getting an update like soon-ish, where I'm just condensing a bunch of stuff together to be less all over the place. Um, so I'm really excited about that. That's me.
all right. And directly below, KingSeras.
Hey, I'm KingSeras, one of the co-hosts of the podcast Bonus Experience, which missed its update this past couple rounds, actually because my co-host is writing on the Scion Quick Start, which I am developing. Over the last couple weeks, I got promoted from just basic freelancer to developer, which means I'm now the editor and the person in charge of producing a book. I see Golden clapping for me. Thank you. In Onyx Path things I'm working on, we are going to start the mechanical development for Scion Demigod. I also got to see the list of approved books for the Scion line, none of which I can tell you about. But they are pretty awesome and very exciting, so you should stay tuned, watch the updates coming out for that, because they will be announced eventually. So that's very, very cool. And also a super secret project I am probably going to be helping development past the first round of approvals. So everybody keep your fingers crossed that it passes its second round. That would be some really exciting news if it gets cleared, and then I can tell you guys. I would love to be able to tell you about it. And if you don't, someday I'll maybe be bummed about something that you never knew about anyway. In the meantime, I'm having some tea, working, of course, on a model. I'm actually using my paint handle tonight, and enjoying my favorite vegan snack, Oreos.
I hear they're coming out with new Oreos.
These are Halloween double stuff Oreos, so they're orange in the middle.
Ooh.
And some of them
Nice.
have cute little. This one's got like a little graveyard pattern on it.
Aw.
Oh, that's cute.
That is really cute. I like that.
Also, congratulations, Lavender. Your video is working again.
Oh
Good.
yeah.
Yay!
Because the Zoom icon has disappeared and now I can't see it. Which is super
So-
great.
Fun fact, Zoom uses less resources the smaller the window is. That's bandwidth and CPU.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
that's interesting.
Because I just shrunk mine down, and I'm like, man, it's running so much better. It's probably just my imagination, though.
No, I had some huge problems, so I worked out with the Zoom developers way back. And I was trying to stream on my laptop, and I figured out that it dynamically uses different resources depending on how big it is.
Interesting.
That's good to know. Thanks for that fantastic information. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Golden?
I'm a huge nerd, and I play role-playing games and do computer stuff. And oh man, I work my ass off when I can. So that's that's my life story. And I'm making this game because this whole Oregon Trail is a part of every part of my history. It's one of the first computer games I played. It's one of the things I play role-playing games, and then I just use it as an excuse to research history and geography and politics. And I got some things to say about that. So I'm going to say with this game.
I think that's why we're
So-
here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And I want the world to discuss the Oregon Trail. So here we go. So we've already played out a board game where the board game created all of our characters. I don't know if you can see them on the stream.
They can now.
So we got Jordan Wilson, who is a lesbian farmer.
Correct.
We have Jemima Baylors, who is it foster mother?
More like I want to say a buff grandma to
Buff grandma, yeah.
to two of her nieces and nephews.
All right, nice. Then we have Theo right here, who has an amazing accent.
Like that's all that he gets. Buff grandma, lesbian farmer, amazing accent.
I mean, he definitely has that going for him, though.
It's true. He is an attractive young man. Well, boy man. He's in the transition.
Mhm.
And I have Fiddlesticks, who is walking on two legs.
Fiddlesticks used to be a bobcat. Then some weird shit
Oh,
happened.
right, it's a bobcat.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this makes it so much better.
Just stop staring at my beautiful artwork.
But it's amazing.
wonderful.
That is incredible artwork.
I just love that it was a cat head and then you added the body to it.
And that you made it vertical and not horizontal.
Well, it's because he became a human cat.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. With all his wily shape-shifting abilities.
So, in the last time we played, actually it was the time before that, I think, you all finally made it to Oregon City. And I thought you had a whole month ago, but it turns out you had 1 day left before winter started, which means we have several of our party members still stuck in the mountains as winter is approaching. the Whitakers make it to Oregon City, and they have a choice, right? Their choice is, do they bring supplies and help their friends make it to Oregon City, or do they trust their friends to get back out of the mountains themselves in the middle of winter?
Well, the problem is the Whitakers weren't very popular in this particular caravan. But I feel like as a whole, they wouldn't really want to go back. But I could see Fiddlesticks going back by himself. Partly falling under doesn't kill humans and partly falling under morbidly curious. To just... The rest of them... Well, there's only 2 others left, but... Well, and a baby. Yeah. A very, very young baby.
So let's start with this part of the mechanics. So I don't know if you can show this on the screen very well, but there's a tree of NPCs we generated who also are going to be stuck in the mountains. So one of the things I've done here is that in Fate, the GM usually starts off with a full of Fate points. And then they use them to just power up the characters. And this game, what I've done is I start off the GM with 2 Fate points. And if they want more, they have to introduce elements to players they're interested in. And they spend that Fate point whenever they want to do GM bullshit. So all the GM bullshit things are going to have a list, and the GM has to spend a Fate point whenever he wants to do stuff like have mysterious coincidences. Introduce an NPC that explains everything. You got to pay Fate points for that shit. And the way the GM gets Fate points is by picking them up off of this relationship map. So we've got a few NPCs here. We got Winifred, Florence, Jack.
Where is this relationship map again?
To the right of this page. Do you see?
Oh, I see it.
No, I sure didn't. There it is. Thank you.
We got Ezra, we got Ada, we got Sarah, we got Jane. And the idea is you all get to put a token or 2 or 3, depending on the size of the map. I think we're just going to start off with 1 because I want to focus on the PCs. And each of you gets to put a token on one of these NPCs. And when I weave that NPC into the scene, I get to take that Fate point.
Okay, that's interesting. I kind of like that mechanic. So, do we decide as a group which NPC gets it, or each one of us?
Each of you gets to pick one.
Okay.
And you can all pick the same one, or you can pick whatever combination you want, and that'll like influence my decision. Like if I see an NPC with like 3 Fate points on, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, they're in the next scene,
So are we voting on that now?
Yeah. Do you want me to like go over the NPCs as much as I can find out about them?
Yeah, that would be really helpful both for us and for chat.
All right.
Yeah.
So in the order that I'm reading them off of in Tabletop Simulator, which may not be the order that you see them in, there's Winifred, or Granny Winnie. She's a wise woman / witch doctor with dark skin and a hunch. She helped keep Archibald on his feet. She has a cane and a coat full of vials, always looking for new medicines. And we have Florence, not her real name, recognizes the strange symbols in the book and embeds clockwork gears in Marcel's body. We have Ada. Ada helps Abigail get food with a Native American friend. That is an event that happened on their trip. Ada's not very well liked. We have Sarah the widow. She made a strange drink that burned the poison out of who was it?
It was the daughter in my family,
Uh,
Claudette.
Claudette. And left something strange behind. A raspy voice. You have caravan leader Jane. She helped. Let's see here. Yeah, she helped the Wilsons survive by giving them supplies when they needed them. We have Ezra, who's a hermit that knows about magical curses. We have Bud. Bud's a dog. They went and got help when Jordan broke their leg. And we have Handsome Jack, a frontiersman who helps get food back after you shot too much food because it's Oregon Trail. And he says he barked up the wrong tree.
Yeah, he
Handsome
was.
Jack is also a cookie.
Yeah, he was hitting on my family of people who are not the adults in the family. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I mean, at least he tried. So, which of these characters are you interested in seeing in the session?
I'm gonna cast my vote for the dog.
The dog, Bud. All right.
So are we taking one of our like markers?
No, I'm just going to draw circles.
Okay.
Okay.
So Bud got a marker.
I have to move farther. Oh, cool.
I like Jack.
Jack. All right.
Also, we might need some help getting out of the winter, and a handsome frontiersman might be just what we need.
I think I've read that book.
I am into Granny Winnie.
Mm.
All right.
She cool. I like her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have to say that I was leaning towards either Jack or Winnie, and I was like gonna go Granny Winnie when Jack got one. But now I think I'm going to give a second token to Jack instead.
Okay, interesting. All right, Jack.
I think he's gonna bring the drama.
I can see that. I can see that for sure.
It's possible I like drama.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
The dramas. All right. So let's see here. I think the next thing I want to do is explain scene framing. So how scene framing is going to work is that the GM by default will just frame scenes. But if you want to, you can spend a fate point and then you can frame a scene, interrupting when the GM would normally do it. If you do that, you should have two aspects ready to go so we can have something to build the scene with. If you choose to do that, then it's kind of like a way of getting more fate points too, because other players have the option to compel you with fate points of their own to add one aspect that they want to the scene. So that's something you can do. I don't know, how much have you guys played Fate?
Not at all.
I've played a lot of it.
Okay.
Some. At least half of it with you.
I have a Meet Space regular game that meets on Wednesdays. and we play regular campaigns, and we'll often play a game, like play through a whole story arc, complete it, and then move on to another game. And Fate has been in that rotation many times.
Nice. All right. So one of the big differences from Fate here is that you don't really need fate points to invoke or create aspects. Man, I got a lot to explain, actually, if some of you haven't played Fate at all before. So you see
I have seen Nebular Jazz, if that matters, if that helps.
So you know what aspects are, basically? Yeah. Aspects are like keywords that you can use to build characters out of. And aspects you have, you can spend fate points to get help from, like mechanical pluses to your dice roll or re-rolling entire dice pools if you want to. They're also used to just say when things are true, as like take narrative control of the story, or to define something's true about a character or a place. But you don't have to actually spend the fate points like that in this game. Instead, you just use your skills. So if you look at your character sheet, I've set some of your skills as like narrative skills. They're green. And then some of your skills are just active skills. They're black. So the green skills you can use to declare things about the world. And the black skills are things you like do to take actual action in that world. So basically, like I'm sharing the ability to create the world, and I'm also pulling it out of aspects because I want these things to be able to be in conflict. A lot of times I'm playing Fate now, and someone will invoke an aspect, and then somebody wants to invoke an aspect in response to that, and I never had a really good way to resolve that, and that's why I'm pulling out that part and spinning it off into its own skill set. So maybe like an example, like, okay, so Jemima has future sight, and so normally you would like spend a fate point in future sight, and then that would allow you to describe something that you see in the future. Mm-hmm. Instead, Jemima would probably spend like research or sense, and that's what they would roll. And future sight allows that roll to like see into the future. Gotcha. And it like kind of expands that ability. And also you could then spend fate points on future sight to like make your sense roll better or re-roll the dice pool if you need to.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, that's what Fate's all about. So why don't I get into it? I'm going to start a scene with the Whitakers getting to Oregon City.
Okie dokie.
So the Whitakers are kind of like floating on a raft down the river, and they see at the... Hold on a sec. All right. You see at this confluence of two rivers, a little city has started to take root. There's a few buildings on the shore of the river, and behind those few large buildings, there's like a collection of smaller houses. Further down the river, on the other side of the shore, you can see an Indian village on top of this extremely large waterfall. So as you float your raft onto shore, your family sees these houses. You also see an old man with like big white hair, kind of looks like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, talking to this giant muscle-bound lumberjack character. And they're like kind of watching as you haul your raft and your wagon onto shore.
For clarification, am I playing the entire Whitaker family or just Fiddlesticks?
Just Fiddlesticks.
Okay. Well. I feel like he looks like a regular bobcat right now.
Okay.
And he hops out of the boat or off of the raft and like stretches like a cat does. And asks, you know, do you want me to check them out?
Let's see here. So Abigail's holding Christopher, and she's the one standing around while Archibald is starting to hammer down stakes to keep the wagon from rolling away. And it's Abigail that says, "Yes, could you go ask them? Is this where we're supposed to be? Is this Oregon City?"
All right then. So Fiddlesticks, he goes behind the wagon so that he can transform into a more man-like shape, subtly, because he can't go asking questions while looking like a bobcat. Turns out pretty much everybody not in the Whitaker family is a little bit turned off by that. I don't know why. And so I don't think I've really taken much time to describe him as a man, but have you watched Red Dwarf?
I have.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how Cat absolutely exudes being a cat while still looking entirely human except for the teeth?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot like that, only a much more tawny color scheme.
See the jerky movement too? When
Yes.
just sheer energy and
Yes.
everything? Oh, that's so good.
All of it.
What about the fashion sense?
I
You
think
look like an
Fiddlesticks
upright Little Richard.
Fiddlesticks has a slightly more subdued fashion sense. It's not flashy per se, but it's definitely it's trying to say, look at me, I'm better than you, but it doesn't really understand human fashion. So mostly it just says, look at me. But not in bright colors, just in, maybe 5 pop collars. I don't know.
Nice. All right, so you're shape-shifting. Okay. Trying to imagine how this is going to work. For some reason, I assume that you put an aspect on yourself, but it's not that kind of a skill. So I guess you just make a roll to straight up turn into things. I think shifting would be a difficulty 6 skill. I mean, into a person would be difficulty 6.
Sure.
Especially because it's you're turning into no obvious cat features human.
I mean, some subtle cat features, human,
Right.
but
So
I guess not obvious. Yes.
You're gonna get a +4 from this skill, being at the tier it is. And you just type /R40F+4.
Hold on, I want to see if this button actually does what I think it does.
There's a button?
Okay, it doesn't roll the, it doesn't do the plus, but okay. Anyway, so +4 is 3. That's not enough.
Okay. So do you want to spend some fate points, or are you happy looking more like a cat than you expected?
I would like to spend a fate point invoking unusually blue eyes. In that my eyes are so blue it distracts from my cat features.
Okay.
Like they're so busy paying attention to the fact my eyes are blue, they don't notice the fact that they have like slits in them.
Okay.
Instead of round pupils. If that makes sense.
So I'll take one of your fate points. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Do you want to reroll, or do you want? What is your?
This roll wasn't that bad. Can I spend a second fate point and invoke Chatty? That'll push me over the top here.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's what I want to do. I'm just gonna liberally spend fate points. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm just gonna beg you to try to give them back to me later.
Right. That's how it works.
That is how it works. So yeah, he steps out the other side of the wagon, fully looking like a man. Bright blue eyes. I think the only thing that might be a little bit unusual for him is that his hair color, like it gets darker towards the back of his head. Like it's almost blonde at the front, but as it gets towards the back, it gets darker and darker. But not in like an outstanding way, but just in a, that's unusual. Nice. We can easily identify him in a crowd scene later way.
If this were a modern game, they'd be like, "Sweet ombre hair, bro."
Yeah. Exactly.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Sarah.
Anime protagonist coloration. So no, so he walks up to them.
All right. So the big lumberjack guy like makes a parting comment to the older guy with white hair and walks off. The older guy with white hair walks towards you. You see he has a big rifle in one hand, and he's kind of like using it like a walking stick as he walks down to the shore to speak with you.
Hail and pardon me, good friend. Have we actually arrived? Is this Oregon City?
Hail, stranger. You have indeed reached Oregon City. Where are you from abouts? You don't seem to be from England?
No, but a fair ways east from here, I'm afraid.
You're Americans.
Yes. Were you expecting someone else? He kind of like looks down at himself, like as if he's offended that they're not absolutely ecstatic to see him.
He doesn't seem very ecstatic. Instead, he looks kind of upset. He says, "Oh, it's just we don't have very many Americans come through here."
Ah, well, you're going to have a few more. Is this not Oregon City?
It is. It is.
Ah, well, there's a whole caravan not 2 days up the road. It seems that we've got ahead of them a bit.
Caravan? It's almost winter.
Oh, we're lucky to have made it before the snows.
Oh. Well, you've made it this far. I suppose you've been looking for a place to stay.
That would be most agreeable. I'm afraid the little one is not going to do well in the cold. Not with this.
Oh.
What happened to his mother? Right sad that.
Oh, we've got a bunkhouse. It's where we let people stay when they come to trade, but a whole caravan. I don't know if we have supplies for all those mouths. Well, why don't you come along, get your family. I'll get the keys to the bunkhouse, and then we can discuss what your plans are now you've made it to Oregon County.
Much obliged, sir. Much obliged.
All right. So you see the old white-haired man, like kind of shamble, down the river shore towards what looks like, it's like just like this, like a nondescript hotel, not like, with lots of windows, but think of like a very primitive motel.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So that's the situation you're in. Let me introduce place the other characters in. So everyone except for Fiddlesticks takes a fate point because they sit out the scene. And let me explain how you can interact in the scene when you're not there. So normally in Fate, whenever you have like a presence in the scene, you can take an action in that scene. Something else I'm allowing is that you don't have to be in a scene to take narrative actions. So you're free to define things about a scene you're not in, to try and determine the aspects the characters might have, or use aspects that are in the scene or that affect themes that you're interested in order to take action through those skills. So, for example, if I start talking about the Bible, Jemima might be able to start using his hymnal code, even if he's not in the scene at all. Or she's not. I'm sorry. In the same way, like Theo could be using their machine telepathy to tell us what the machines are thinking, or to even influence them when Theo's not in the scene, and so on. And that'll like let you have some influence on scenes. Like it kind of like also splits up the GM role a bit. So, it's not just what I'm interested in, it's also what you guys are interested in, even if your character's not in the scene. And also giving you fate points when you're not in the scene kind of incentivizes you to spend them. I hope. Cool. All right. So I'm going to skip over to the right ears. They are in the Dells. So the Dells was part of the Columbia River, which was this enormous rapids. So we see Theo and his family sitting their wagon, at the base of this this river that's flowing incredibly quickly. We can look down the river and see giant rocks shooting out of the river, and also lots of like waterfalls. Like it's just like a series of waterfalls that don't take up the entire river, but like imagine like a quarter of the river might be a waterfall on the left and a quarter of the river might be a waterfall on the right. Or like maybe there's a part of the waterfall that's it's much less high. You know, it's like instead of being 10 foot of a drop, it's like 2 feet of a drop at certain parts. And this is what you're looking at with your family, trying to figure out, you know, how you're gonna ride your wagon down.
So we need to cross the river, or do we need to descend is the idea?
Yeah, the idea is to ride the rapids.
Oh gosh. Down waterfalls with our wagon.
So this is literally what people did.
What?
I just did it. It was fun.
Yeah.
So basically we have to like build a raft and then load up our wagons.
There's also a porter's hut. You can hire people to carry your stuff, you know, along the side of the river. You can also try and hire people with smaller boats to, you know, take you in multiple trips and all your belongings down the river. It'll be much safer. But the traditional way in the video game is just to build a raft and strap on, and it's all or nothing.
I mean, we're builders.
I have another thing, since I actually just played Oregon Trail for the first time right after our last game. Another thing that you do in the game is you take a bunch of caulk and you caulk all the like spaces where air could get in the wagon, and that would make it so that like the cabin of the wagon would float, and you can actually like ride it across rivers. Apparently it's actually
Oh wow,
kind of wild.
Yeah, they would try and turn their wagons into boats, but it's not clear to me, like, this is actually before the prairie schooner type of wagon was even invented. I'm not sure what kind of wagon you have. So how have you been traveling with your family? What do you think? Like traditionally, like it was just people on horseback or with like a farm wagon that they just loaded things up on top and put a tarp over.
I'm trying to remember what kind of things we had. We have like inventing supplies and oxen and stuff. So we probably have our herd of oxen pulling like small carts and stuff.
Yeah, your family has oxen, inventing parts, and weird books.
Yeah. So honestly, I think what we would probably try to do is the inventing parts, they can get wet. We can dry those out, lay them in the sun, get them like rub them down and stuff. The books are what we need to protect. So we also, didn't we build a walking thing last time?
So your family, you built, where is this? Where's my notes about this?
I remember it was weird.
Oh yeah, Sarah's family, the Wilsons, they put snowshoes on their wagon. Your family built some kind of strange shelter outside of Fort Walla Walla, and then because of the board game mechanics, when the Whitakers made it to Oregon City, you all were pulled along, so you got closer to Oregon City. It's not clear whether or not your shelter went with you.
I did say that it could walk. It is like a walking.
That
Okay.
sounds familiar.
I remember
Okay.
Sylvie built it outside, and
So you never actually, you said you would not describe it what it actually was until later. So
oh,
tell us what's in your imagination.
okay. I am envisioning basically. Imagine if someone had taken a giant potbelly stove and given it legs.
Nice.
That like puff smoke too.
We're not we're gears, so it's more like there's like
Yeah.
external clockwork stuff moving and whatever. It's like all like sort of like battered brass and stuff and tarnished in places. It looks beat up, but it's like super sturdy.
Okay.
And
And
how it uses springs and you wind it up somehow.
probably something like that. So I imagine we've had that along, and it's because it's massive, it's pretty good at traversing rough terrain because it can just kind of doesn't have to worry about falling in holes because its foot is like you can't even see it on camera. It's massive. So we probably pile all the books in there.
Okay.
And then try to like caulk all of the seams and stuff just in case it does tip over into the water. We can recover those later. And we have the oxen kind of ford the river with the wagons of the other stuff and kind of caulk that as well. And we have the books kind of going alongside the river with us. And it's just kind of like just the caravan going down.
Okay. Man, it's gonna be hard for your giant pot-bellied stove to keep up with the wagon caravan once it starts getting rapids.
Yeah, Teo will stay behind. He'll pilot it. He'll stay with the books. And
Right.
he'll as the young man of the family, he's given that responsibility, I think.
So we'll follow Theo and we'll leave the fate of everyone else up to the NPCs.
Okay.
All right. So we'll find out what happens to your family later. You just are
Dun, dun,
on your giant pot-bellied stove, and you can actually see them go like far away. You just watch them, like the oxen slowly start picking up speed, and I assume like the wagon is still attached to the oxen or not.
I don't know if I think that they would probably unattach it just in case, like if the oxen like got pulled under by the wagon. They don't want that. They want the oxen to be able to swim if they need to keep their heads above water so they don't die.
So are they like letting the oxen free to swim, or are they like still tied up? In, like,
I think they're still like lashed together, but they're not like hooked up and pulling the wagons. It's just like they're kind of connected by a big thick rope so that they can't get away, but they're not gonna necessarily be dragged under if something should happen to one of the wagons.
And the wagon's caulked up?
Yeah.
I think you just see the wagon like shoot off.
Oh no.
Because the wagon's not gonna like swim against the current or try and have control or anything, right? Like you're just kind of like trying to like avoid the rocks, and you see your family like shooting through these narrow parts of the rapids, and like the Indians like suddenly like shouting as the wagon like shoots through these scaffoldings they put, and they're salmon nets, and the bison like are kind of like dog paddling through the water, but they're also like gradually picking up speed.
Okay.
And eventually you get into this really forested area of the shore, and you lose sight of them.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where Theo's dealing with. Who's next? All right, the Wilsons. So the Wilsons are snowbound. Yeah, the snow's already fallen in the mountains where you are.
All right.
It says you have snowshoes on your wagon.
Yep.
And you're safely in Fort Walla Walla. There's actually like a medieval-looking castle made out of wood.
Okay.
So like you can have your wagons or whatever you have parked outside, or you can have them like inside, in like storage for the winter. It's like, do you think it's your family's plans to like make a break for Oregon when the snow melts, or sit out the winter here in Fort Walla Walla?
What's the difference? If I'm waiting for the snow to melt, wouldn't I be waiting for the winter to be over?
No, because this is
Or
like
do you
the
mean
first
just this snowstorm to pass?
Yeah, it's just for the snowstorm to pass, then you can use your
Oh, well,
your snowshoes to try and keep going.
I mean, since our family's goal is ultimately to be farmers, it seems like maybe a bad call to go rushing into the winter. Nothing's gonna grow just yet.
Yeah.
So unless there's a big problem with us sticking around, we may as well stay here.
No, and all the people in the fort like agree you shouldn't go to Oregon.
Like at all? They're like,
Yeah.
no, don't go there. 'Tis a silly place.
Don't go there. Just settle down here. There's some, there's a valley nearby. We could. This is a permanent fort. If you want to sell nearby, we'll totally buy all your food.
I'm gonna ask a few more questions. Like, I mean, you seem pretty intent on me not coming to Oregon. What's your problem with Oregon, bud?
All right, so let's say it's this like young-looking man who is wearing not quite an army uniform.
Okay.
It's the same kind of like sturdy cotton you'd expect in this age, but it has like insignia for the Hudson's Bay Company on it, which is kind of like the East India Company, but for America.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, look, there's no roads to Oregon City. Every spring we send a caravan there, but there's just no way to make it on your own.
So you think I should just give up?
Well, what's there anyhow?
A land grant. Presumably we have papers for this, right? Like this is a government thing.
No, this isn't part of America yet.
Yeah.
So Oregon City is. Oh, do you actually have papers on your? Is that what you have?
No, I don't have that on my character sheet. That was I was
Yeah,
improvising
dry
with
goods.
some junk on my desk. I have dry goods. I have farming supplies, and I have shotgun and shotgun accessories.
Yes, fantastic.
One of those is going to come in handy.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it all will.
So the
Anyway,
guys.
so instead, I'm just like, "Where's your sense of adventure, friend?"
It's like, it's just there's no point in going there. Yes, the farmland's good, but there's Indians everywhere, and they won't trade with anybody. It's just.
Hey! First off, we call them natives, and secondly, has anybody tried not being an asshole?
Well, no, honestly, the natives are pretty pissed off ever since Lewis and Clark stole their canoes.
I mean, that sounds like a good reason to be mad. Not gonna lie.
So we've had a really tough time negotiating with them, and they don't want to hunt or trade or anything. Like,
well,
even though the farmland's good, they just don't like trespassers in their land either.
Well, I'm not Lewis or Clark or with the U.S. military, so I think I'm gonna stick with the plan I had.
All right. So, but is it your plan to stay to winter, or you just want to leave as soon as you can?
Oh, no, my plan is to stay the winter, but I'm still going to Oregon, regardless of what this guy is telling me.
Okay. All right. So you have like several other conversations like this. And let's see what's up with Dark Lavender Void. You are is it the Baylors?
The Byler family, yeah.
The Byler family. So you actually have a high-tech prototype wagon.
Yeah.
The problem is this high-tech prototype wagon is stuck in the mud. After the snow fell, it melted. You're like in one of the lower valleys in the Rockies.
Mm-hmm. Bunch of
You're in this river canyon, and it's pretty warm here. But like after the snow fell and the dirt, like just imagine like a miles wide pastoral scene that's just completely turned to mud.
Yep, basically.
And it's just you and this high-tech wagon. Was Dee your sister?
Dee, I think, is like a niece.
Okay. With your niece and baby Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
It seems totally fine being stuck in the mud. As long as Lucas gets fed.
Gotcha. So we've been on the trail for a very long time. So I am imagining we have like a ton of questions in our heads about like whether to continue or not, whether this is the place we stay until winter passes. We're just trying to make the right decision, and we're very tired after traveling for months and months. Yeah. So I think Jemima, Jemima's going to talk to Dee.
Okay.
And Jemima's going to ask, it's nothing but mud, looks like, all the way through this valley. Should we go back the way we came and see if we can find a place to stay? Are we going to continue?
So I think Dee is like completely exhausted. She's been digging out, the wagon for hours. And she's covered in mud. Her clothes are starting to fray. And she probably didn't get much sleep either because, it's just not very nice inside the wagon, even if it is high tech.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's just like irritable and grumpy, and she's like, yes, whatever. I'm so tired of traveling. Look, if winter's coming, it seems really warm here. You can probably just rest out the winter. And it'll be fine, right?
My only... I feel that. I also wonder if God doesn't have a trial in store for us to make us stronger on our way to Oregon, and it'll be difficult, of course, but I'm wondering if the point of all this is to make it to the other side of the valley over there as stronger women and stronger baby.
So Dee just is like exhausted and kind of like flaps her arms. He says, there's been nothing but trials since we started on this trip. Enough trials. It's time God sent some angels to, if he intends us to get over the mountain, just carry us over it already. I mean, haven't we been through enough? Come on, Lucas, you can do it, right? Where's the angels? Get the angels. And Lucas just like wags his finger. But while Dee is complaining about where's the angels, you see Handsome Jack traveling from his wagon over to yours. He got like giant knee-high boots on that let him travel through the mud.
Mhm.
All right. So now we see what situation all the characters are in. How do you want to do breaks, Kelsa?
Hadn't even given any thought. You want to do a break now? Every hour?
Let's do breaks. I need to think about things, and
I would like to have some breaks, at least one.
yeah, let's take a break now.
Okay.
Cool, sounds good.
All right, let me.
This headset gets uncomfortable after a while, so I'm not opposed to a break either.
Oh no!
All
Is it
right,
one of the clamps?
let me get us over to our screen here.
Here's my progress.
Nice.
Oh, nice, nice.
This can play a different color now.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it.
I've been sitting here shading.
All right, I'm gonna switch us over to the break screen.